Well, that didn't start quite like I was hoping. Let me make some adjustments here. That's because. All right. I think I have that sorted. I'm not really sure. But here we go. So this is the first. This is the first time we're doing this. I'll be quite honest. It's a little nerve-wracking, but my name is Clarksell, and welcome. There's nobody here, so I'm talking to myself. But you know what? Everybody's got to start somewhere. So I don't have all of this set up right, but rather than waiting, everybody can just kind of follow along in my misery as we do this. Well, hello, Kevin. Well, welcome to somebody who's got nothing. So over the next few months, we're going to dive into making an actual course. I'm going to stream the living daylights out of this whole thing, the whole thought process behind it. And since I've not streamed before, I don't have anything really set up. My setup here is probably a little bit different than most because I program all day long. So I am set up kind of in that fashion. But I think every morning we're going to be here from 8 o'clock to 10 or 11. We'll see. Trying to get the things set up and all that. So here we go. To get kind of prepped here, the end state of what we're going to do is ship this course, and my goal is along the way that we can have a pretty open and honest conversation about GraphQL, both from the client side and the server side, and we can dive around and talk about APIs and everything in between. And my intent with coming here on Twitch was that we could kind of build this thing together and answer the questions, because while I've been doing it for a number of years, that doesn't necessarily mean, or, quite honestly, I've probably forgotten a lot of things that I just take for granted. And so this has been rolling around in my head for quite a while, how I could do this, what would it look like, and yeah, we're just gonna kind of see where that goes. So with that being said, I've got an editor open. I don't have a repo. I don't have anything. I do have some notes set up, but let's, for some context, I'm actually running on a 49-inch monitor, so I've split this thing up into halves, and I've got I guess, all of the Twitch goodness on the right, and what would be a typical, 2560 by 1440 on the left. So let's start with getting a repo set up. We'll just go out to our GitHub. I'm doing all this under our little company, but you can follow me on all the social places. Let's call this, hell, I don't even even know what to call it. We'll do this as part of Node. Make it MIT. Call it the GraphQL course for now. We need a repo name. I don't know, learn graph. That domain's probably taken. Oh, wait a minute, I already have one? That would be funny. Oh, that'd be hilarious. Let's see. Does that just mean somebody else has one? Oh, it's available. Oh, holy cow. Let's have a little more coffee. This is a typical day of getting started. All right, let's just copy this, and today kind of my goal is to get what is going on? Today my goal is to just kind of set the foundation and to walk through. I don't know that we'll get too much into code, but I want to set up the repo. I want to get the thinking laid out, maybe like a table of contents that I really started on. So yeah, let's go there. Kevin, I'm curious while I'm doing this, I'll assume that you program during the day or during the nights. I'm curious what you do, what stacks you find yourself in. I'm even going to do this. We'll do this right. We'll create just a little more coffee. We're even going to do a PR on this. I'd like to, kind of along the way, have these snapshots in time, and that's what source control is really good at. So let's do that. We got we'll just call it TOC. I need to kill this because I don't really want to be there. I've got a nice little shortcut set up. Let's go here. And all right, it doesn't get any more basic. Do I really not have any files? There's got to be at least a license. Yeah. Where did this open to? What? Was I up a level? No. What is going on? Anyways. All right, let's add a README. And let's get just a TOC for right now. So a table of contents. And it's definitely not a DM file, but an empty file. So we're just gonna pop out some Markdown, and I'm gonna take some notes that I had started doing all this in a little tool called Notion. And yeah, there we go. So end state, right? We have a course. I'll end up selling the course, but all of this will be kind of free along the way. But end state, we're going to have two sides of this. So, every API has a client and a server. In this case, you can be a consumer of a GraphQL endpoint without having, created your own server. There's a variety of different ways to kind of connect and call through. It is a little different than, say, a REST endpoint. It does follow some of the same, the spirit of the web. It's not different in that regards. But whether you did a raw request or you used a tool like Apollo, there's a lot of does a lot of things there. So I want to split it from kind of client to server. There are a lot of people like myself who spend a lot more time just in the server side of things than on the client side. And there's a whole thinking around how do you design a schema and version it and ship it and fulfill that schema and a few little hacks. Something fun to look at along the way here would be if you went to api.that.tech and you went to view. So this is that conference's. I run a conference as well. The conference is called That Conference. We've recently rebuilt or have been in the process of rebuilding our back end. Everything that we have as a result of going to thatconference.com. Definitely not Googling it. Everything you have as a result of here on the front end. This is a Next React site, and Next in React, server-side rendered, hosted, kind of across the globe. And then on the back end, it is all serverless, federated GraphQL, document databases. So right here, you can see this is the kind of read side of things and our entire back end and things. If you want to go to GitHub and head over to that conference, you'll see that all of our stuff is out, or at least the stuff that is public is public. But our naming scheme is that bash. So the website, you'll find in the website directory, all the APIs will be that-API. And you'll see the breakdown of our different places in, across how we compose our services and scale them and whatnot. So, new to web development. Well, hey, I will say this, Kevin. I feel like I am new every day, even though I've been doing this for a long time. I don't think that makes anybody necessarily more seasoned. You just kind of got to, saddle up and ride that horse, because it's always changing. And I did a stint in healthcare as well, and at least on the tech side, we built some software to run a dialysis machine, and that's hard work. So hats off. Sarah, welcome. Good morning. But back at it. This is our that conference's public API server and all that's out there. So we're going to build something similar. Let's get that table of contents back. Let's just to start to kind of blow this out a little bit, walk through my thinking, and then we'll start to lay out a better plan as the time kind of leads into it. So let's see. I guess if I was new, need to really kind of explain why this is even relevant to, the person who is, lots of database work. Thinking of databases, it's a new database that we've been really, really interested in. It's called FaunaDB. I kind of wish we would have used Fauna. Just paste this down in here. I wish we would have used Fauna on that conference. It combines a document, a relational, a time series database kind of all into one. It's really super interesting. I'll claim noob at it, but it is something we're using at Unspecified, or started using it at Unspecified, and then it's pretty cool. So something worth checking out for sure, although you're probably well down the train of picking a database. But right, so intro. Why do we care? Which is a great question. So let's just start there. Why should you even care? Probably followed it up with, why are you even here? So we'll just call that the why. To figure out how to do sub-bullets in this. Why? Maybe why now? So I say that because I already had it. Look at me. Why now? Like what, we have REST. It's pretty proven. There's a lot of tools around it. Let's just, some guiding principles. Okay, so let's add maybe the next section is something like a getting started. And let's see, if you were going to get started, like what are the places that you care about? I'm thinking things like websites, tools, maybe just kind of a quick overview, because when we're in the client and the server side, we'll get much deeper into the tools. How about a playground? Where can you just go play without needing to really mess around much? Let's see. And Kevin, Sarah, and jump in if there's something I'm blatantly missing. Drop it. Definitely gonna have to drink a lot of coffee. A little history. How did this even come to be? This came from Facebook. Oh, I think it was 2012, maybe 2014. It's been around a while. $2015. That's what Wikipedia says, so it must be true. So it's the overnight success. I think that's we can reference there's a history story. Okay, what is it? I don't feel like guiding principles really fit here. It compared against other things. No, maybe guiding principles kind of do. I think architecture is its own. This kind of brings up an interesting question. Some of these things are span across both. So we would have the kind of client side. I'm just taking some notes. Client side, server side. So this is the, that's like the meat of things. We have the intro and the architecture. Maybe there's some best practices. So I guess if I'm thinking like kind of big rocks, it's kind of the flow. that. Yeah, Sarah, the new hotness from 5 years ago. But it does ask the question is like, why did it start gaining traction today? Which I guess is why now. So why, if 5 years old, why is this hot now? Yeah, which is really leads pretty well into that. Make this a little bigger. It's a little easier to read for y'all. Need some use cases like where this fills, and I'm thinking like REST versus there's always this like one tool fits all BS. So is it just a graph, or is it graph plus REST? Something like that. I'll go. So I want to hold on to that kind of principle. Just to see. Definitely not. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna change my mind. I think we need to talk about the what, then the why. Yeah. Actually, I'm curious. I'm curious if we go to like. Not curious what their opener is. Well, they dive right. Oh, I was gonna say they dove right in. Okay, so they start with the. They start with the what too. Probably should have started there today. I guess Kevin, you probably haven't seen GraphQL, so let's do a quick some quick hotness. So if I so I'm in a tool called Insomnia. It's a nice little tool to make calls against REST endpoints or any endpoint. And let's just do something like let's go get an event. So in this case, I'm going to query. Basically, you're going to query, and I use those terms loosely because you shouldn't think of it as a query like a database query. But really what I want to be able to do, or what I should be able to do, is I should be able to come over to basically to this. So let's say, so on the back end of Graph, there is no, like in REST, you would have very predefined routes that give you a result set. In REST, we have the ability to just define a schema kind of like a schema in a database, and then query against it. So here I have an event, and I can query a specific event or kind of all events. Now this is remember, stay in that conference kind of event conference side of things. So we have multiple events going on. But then when I query for an event, I have these things available to me, and some of these things are made up of other types. So an event has partners, an array of partners, right? And a partner has a company name and a logo and all kinds of stuff. So I, as the user, then can say, I would like to let's query all events, and I'm gonna just comment that out. So if I just say get all, so now I'm saying events all, and I'm querying for a couple fields. So this query here, get all, is my own defined thing. Events, we come back over here to the visual representation, right? Here's events, right? Events returns an all or an event. And we're going to say all. And flip back over here, so all event. And then I have these things that I can query for. So we said ID and name, but let's pick out start date, end date. I already had those in the thing. We'll pick out name. And actually, because this is a schema, we get some things like IntelliSense. Because you can inspect the schema and see, what's behind not what's behind, but what's available. So you have this really nice, strong type, if you will. And so here's a list of, events that we have listed, which is pretty slick. The advantage of doing something like this is you, the customer of the API, you get to control the size of your payload. So I could say, I really only want, right, the year, and my payload is drastically reduced. It also means I, as the producer, don't have to dictate or just kind of vomit back things to you. So let's say let's say I want partners and I want company name. I, the API person, can say, right, this is my data model. Feel free to kind of use it as you wish. I don't have to predetermine how it can be called. And now I get this payload of, for every event, mind you, I'm querying the all. I'm not passing any arguments or whatnot. I'm querying all, ID, year. I still left those in, but I also have my partners who are returned as well. And I could still add on other things, right? I could say, what are my milestones? And so now my payload is kind of adapting to how I want it to be called. And I could crawl down too. I could just say, give me that subtype in this case. And now I only get the partners for each event. Really slick, really neat way to really kind of pushes forward your domain model to the wire and forces you to think about your true requirements. Which, as I say that, that's really one of the biggest advantages here. Your domain model, closer to the wire, focus on the true business requirements. Right, as it can get pretty easy in REST to just kind of ignore things and just say just add another field or add another add another endpoint because I only want X, Y, and Z. And that puts a lot of pressure on the back end of your server to kind of figure out that level of abstraction and reuse and all that. But really, when you think about the front end of things, I from that conference side, when we want to bang out a new section or a new thing, if I've already done my domain model right, then we don't have to add another API or kind of switch it around so that it's the best optimized. And that's really where Facebook was coming at. And we'll get into some of that, another time, but they needed a way to control their timeline views and feeds and migrate everything over. If you remember, way back when they went down the kind of progressive web app long before they had an app, and then they needed to switch over. So that was the kind of the impetus. Is that the right word? Impetus of things. And yeah, Kevin, you did say cool. So, we're trucking down the right space already. And I love it. I love the graph stuff. It has really changed the way we think about the API. And we've now released a couple big, very large enterprise projects, and then that conference and a bunch of smaller things. So I've been at this for a few years, which is kind of what's led us to here. All right, back to this. Lots here, but I think this intro starts. I think it needs to start with some wow. If you've never seen it, then saying what it is doesn't really matter. So let's just kick it off with a query, right out of the gate. Make a call. And then that's just going to lead into what in the hell just happened. I like that. Make a query. And I was just showing queries, but also important to note, Kevin, this isn't, I know Sarah already knows this, but this isn't just the read side of things. It's also the update side, or create, update, delete. So in Graph, they're called mutations. And here you can see for an event, we can create and delete a specific event, or we can modify or update one. Now this create, delete, that's how we've defined the schema. In fact, if you were to just go to, this would be the playground, and the schema kind of looks like this. Our WAC view is a visual representation of the SDL itself. So you can look through here, you can see the types that they are, strings versus ints, versus identifiers, IDs and identifier, dates. Oh, God, dates suck. So View is a tool called Voyager. It just gives you this nice, because you have an SDL that has relationships, that means you can actually show how these things are related to one another, and how they interact. And that's another big piece of this this hierarchy, or defining a type system really that you're going to share across the wire, means that you can do interesting things, and you can make sure that you're doing the right thing. So if I was passing in arguments that was, I made it an int, well, here, let's look at an update event. So let's go to event, event update. This update will take any one of these fields, and a field that has a bang on it is required, right? So name is required when we want to update, which seems a little, that actually seems like a bug in our scenario because I don't want to require you to update the name all the time. Let's go file a bug for that real quick. That was on let's see. This is about as live as it can get, huh? That would be event. Name really be required to make any update. We're going to give this to Bretsky. All right. So yeah, here you have, these different types. These types get validated. If I was to try to pass a string in here for is voting open, but yet it's a Boolean, it would fail. And it would actually fail, wouldn't even get into the server side of things. So really cool framework. And it's not, like there have been others long before this. In fact, I think I put them down here. OData, SOAP and Whizzle, they tried to take a little bit of this as well. I think Graph did a little hindsight is 2020 and made that work out. So yeah, there we go. Let's get back to the why. I'm getting off topic. I'm getting all excited about Graph and got to get through you got to eat this frog and get through this table of contents so we can start banging out code. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna start. I'll make a query, get some data. We need to go into that. We can just keep history. We'll move this up. What is GraphQL? Right here, like I think we need to talk about the query. I guess what you can do, right? What can you do? So this would be the query CRUD. Type system. What else did I mention? Why? I guess if I was thinking like some exec, I'd probably have the kind of the pros and cons. schema. For sure, that's a big deal. New-ish. Definitely got to get into how it sits alongside. I think guiding principles. This is something that needs to go into architecture. Come back to cleaning some of that stuff up. I think it's also good to say what it's not. So I think this belongs in the Y. What is graph? What isn't graph? Isn't, and maybe who isn't it for? Good. I don't know how to answer that one. What GraphQL isn't? Oh well, it's definitely not the most performant. Not, which is probably also a con. There is some overhead, right? We can't have a type schema and do validation dynamically, but then have like really raw performance. Let's see, what else would it not be? Certainly where gRPC comes in. So with Graphly, it's super raw performant. What also does sockets? I forgot about sockets. So here would be, I'm not even, actually it's not on. Yeah, that server's not on, so that's not gonna. Socket support. Make a query, get some data. So to support this, we're gonna need a stable endpoint that everybody would know, or I should say everybody would relate to. So, and we could just use some serverless function that just sits out there and isn't super expensive. Oh, another thing you do is you can wrap REST stuff. That's a good advantage. That's a pretty neat pattern too. Oh, I guess patterns and practices. Maybe this is really. Okay, I'm starting to dig this. We're getting somewhere. At least feel like I'm starting to get somewhere. Make a query, get some data. This is really. I guess another question would be, what things could you do that you weren't able to do with something else? So what things does Graph allow you to do that you couldn't have done with something else? What things does it introduce? So then there's trade-offs, right? Does Graph introduce new issues that maybe didn't exist before? New issues or something like that, right? Does it make something solve one problem but bring another? All right, that's goodness. We're cooking. Started. We need to lay out some requirements. Make a query, get some data. This is just more of a note. A better way to explain what happened. So if we were going to explain what happened, we want to start with the show the schema, show the type system, define a query, then I guess there's some fallout from that. Right, so actually do it the other way. Then we'll show the schema. No, that didn't make any sense. Nobody would understand. Voyager, that's the visual tool. Show the type system, define a query. I think we can at least get with that. What it is, keep these notes down here. course, there's a bunch of tools that make it easy so you don't have to deal with the what would you call it? The hard stuff. And then the why for sure. So why do we care now? Why should we care now? Maybe should you be running out to upgrade? I guess maybe where does this fit in your stack? And that would be greenfield versus, I really understood why they call it greenfield. So greenfield development. What's the other one? Brownfield? Is that really a thing? I hate those terms. I'm actually afraid to Google this. Oh, I didn't realize it was. I didn't realize it had ties back to like economic development or urban planning. Development and software. Huh. Hey, you learn something every day. Brownfield. I don't see much. Excuse me. I don't see much. Not feeling much value on the. I'm gonna kind of leave this here, and I'm just gonna put value question mark. I'm not sure if this, like, why it's important now, if that even really matters. Unless there was some like big development over the years that kind of fixed something, then yeah, but I don't know. All right, is it just graph? Okay, so then that's really more of an architecture thing. So let's move that down. I don't think tools belong. Maybe tools is like how much work here do we really need to take on? As part of the why. Yeah, so that would be more like adoption. Now, how on your own are you? But then again, that feels like getting started. You know, I'd already spent a few days kind of putting some of this stuff together, and saying these words out loud is it's an interesting interesting challenge. All right, so then yeah, maybe Sarah, maybe it is hot now because it's easier. I could see that for sure. Or time, I guess. Time always helps get, as more and more people do it, then there's more content, then there's more just, I guess the time thing isn't just tools, right? It's how quickly you can educate folks as well. Yeah, yep. Community. I'm going to say maturity of content, and then support, adoption. Now, it's probably also really important to say that this is open source. This is not a proprietary. Not really sure. Open source, which has a governing body. Not open data sources, open source. GraphQL.org. Okay, I feel like we're doing all right here. Not sure. But it feels like it's headed in the right direction. Let me know if you think otherwise. Definitely move that up. Okay, what it is and what it isn't. Now let's finish these pros and cons. Why do you care? How does this fit into your stack? So brownfield, maybe this is schema stitching and bringing, disparate sources together. I don't even know if that's how you say it. Sources together. Type schema. Domain models. I really like the federation stuff. So that's independently scaling. So one of the things you can do is take the schema like you saw here, And each of these are different services, different serverless servers. Is that even a thing? Serverless endpoints. They're different Docker containers that are running independently of one another, but we tie them all together, this notion of a gateway, and the gateway is the thing that takes the different pieces, composes them, and then presents them back to the client. So really, really slick piece of stuff. Federated services. So this is the kind of new land. That'd be kind of the new land of microservices and all that good jazz. I don't know, what's some cons? I guess it's new. Perf can be an issue. Perf can be an issue. How about you could shoot yourself in the foot? Think of other problems we've had in the past. The tooling stack is pretty simple. Hey, thanks, Kevin. You have a good day. We'll start. Thanks for being the first person. We'll be doing this every day, or almost every day. We'll get a schedule up here once I get all the things kind of sorted out and whatnot. I'm assuming y'all have been able to hear me all right. I don't know how much background noise or how loud the keyboard is either. Got this big old microphone that I got to get out of my face. It's covering up my monitor. What is it? What isn't it? Right, so cons, back. We're getting off topic. I don't have enough coffee in me. Newish, perf. I think versioning. I don't think it's I think it's different. Let's say this. There's a lot of mind space, if you will. No, there's a lot of head space. In the rest. So breaking some of those habits yeah, we'll get that cleaned up, Kevin. I think there's a bit of you can hear me hit the desk. My mic is on a hard stand, so it's carrying quite a bit of the load when I'm banging on the desk. But that should be fixed here come Wednesday. We'll get there. Certainly let me know when y'all hear stuff. Yeah, different. Lots of space in the REST architecture. Need to break old habits. Yeah, step outside the box, step outside. Steal from Apple, think a little differently. I think it really puts pressure on a domain model. I think that's I don't know that that's a hard one. I don't know if that's a con. Just people just don't think about it. We often don't give enough respect to the domain model and the planning around it. But if we did, then longer term, you'd be able to see more benefit from it. Breaking old habits, think differently. I'm curious what the internet says. Let's pros and cons of GraphQL. See if we agree with any of this stuff. The good, the bad, the ugly. Ooh, I like where this is going. Nope, don't want that. Advantages and disadvantages. GraphQL, client driven. Yep. Oh yeah, that's certainly, yeah, that's a good one. I'm gonna steal that one. Thank you, whoever that was. Client payload is decided by the client. Which means the server, which means payload sizes we can manage. It also means we can do stupid stuff by letting the user have some control over that too, but there are ways around that. Yeah, those are the same things. You just don't understand. Specific data within a single fixed data. Specific data with a single API call. Fixed data with multiple API calls. Oh, okay. I guess I can kind of understand that. Performance, fast. Maybe. You could do some dumb stuff fast. Yep, dev speed, I would agree. Rapid. Learning curve, difficult. You could put some context around that one. Self-documented and documents, good. That's a good one. You have a schema, so we have documents. We didn't even show that off earlier. Yeah, I think the type schema, data validation. Sort of. Creating a GraphQL schema, you get to choose which functions to expose, how they work. In their turn, REST views tend to be all or nothing. So every view should have knowledge of what it can or cannot expose. I don't know that I totally agree with that. Size of an application, that's interesting. Maybe. GraphQL caching, it's a database client, can be implemented with Apollo Relay clients. Yeah, that's Geek on Coffee. Welcome, Andrew. I do like the composition of calls. Composition and decomposition. It's not always good to lump them all together. That's true. JSON API libraries can do a lot of that, except most people don't even know what JSON API is. Yeah, that's a good, I'm gonna take note of that. Yeah, I'm curious, Andrew, when you say the difference between public and private APIs, where you're, like, what's your distinction there, whether or not you have like authorization for something, or if they are child supporting APIs, which, to be quite honest, that is kind of a cluster. Thinking of like kind of the hierarchy of like what's behind the graph. I don't quite understand. That's what I'm going to do. Now it's getting serious. Supporting APIs. Call it back. Yeah, I'm not. Definitely have to add in here the authorization stuff, which just taking a note. I really like the way we do it in that conference, but authorization is just hard anyways. All right, let's expand this a little bit more, because I've now spent much longer on the table of contents than I thought I would. So let's add some stuff here. We're live on Twitch. Get a little bit of description here. I wonder if that got switched yesterday. Now we're definitely just all over the place. That is not working. Got to take a note of that one. Let's see. How's all this stream software working? Can I just add these things on the fly? Let's let's see. I'm not even sure if this will work, but hey, we're all learning together, so. No idea. That did not. Oh yeah, it did work. Huh, look at that. That's pretty cool. How about that? Hey, we just did a thing. I don't really know how to make it any bigger, but hey. I guess that's a good place to start. Can we do, I'm just messing with the OBS Studio stuff that I don't really have set up by any stretch. Whoa, I hit that too many times. Didn't realize we could actually change the layout view while we're live. That's just craziness. Super magical. I don't know if that's a thing, but I don't seem to see this other one working, but whatever. All right, let's get back. Caching diminishes shared nothing architecture. What the hell does that mean? I feel like that's a very smart title. As a search endpoint, publicly these two endpoints simply look like two different REST resources. Internally, though, they point to two different microservices of isolation of clusters. This search, when was this written? We can do that in Graph. It's called federation schema stitching. Anyways, let's get back to getting let's get back to this. We got a ship. Gotta fix that. Kind of want to break this table of contents down into overall and then okay, a dig. All right, the inch. All right, so we got kind of a setup. I think we have the start of a Oh yeah, Andrew, I'm not stressing over it. I've got a few days into it, so overall, let me make this a little smaller. Overall, kind of what we have is kind of an overall sense of things. Then I've got a bit of the intro. Here's some just random notes. This here should be the architecture and guiding principles. So there's some work there. And then started to break this stuff down a little bit more. So started talking about the type system. I think this all fits under this architecture. I think this all fits in here. So the type system, thinking in schemas. This resolution of fulfillment probably should be on the server side. Everybody's friend mocking data. So then I have, so put that in there. Oh yeah, why am I doing this? Those are headings. I don't even mark down well. Okay. Typing is not working well this morning. Right, so overall, so I guess we'll just, so overall flow, right? Introduction, body block, guiding principles, the server side, the client side. Didn't really have much on the server side. I thought I put more stuff in there. The client side. It's an interesting question. I don't know if would you start on the client side and then go to the server side? Maybe. They kind of stand independently of one another. I guess starting on the server side and then getting things built and then going back and being able to call it is it's pretty cool. So server side, client side. That's true, Sarah. You didn't start on the client side. But do you feel like that, Matt, like, there's probably not a right answer either way. They both stand independently of one another. Yeah. I mean, one nice thing is if you're building Rails, is not the right answer. Rails is just an answer. Can I delete this tweet? Oh, I can. Let me just delete that from let me just delete that here. Oh yeah, man, Rails is gone. Kidding. But there's a lot on the server side. I mean, hosting it, security, packages to use, middleware, dealing with context, errors, living alongside other microservices, the joy of data loaders. We've got a lot of areas to cover for sure. It's funny, I see some so Andrew, I'm gonna break this up into two pieces, honestly. Like if you want just the client side, you can just get that, or you can get the server side. I think the intro and this is just kind of a free introduction, if you will. Architecture and guiding principles arguably could be broken down into server and client, and then if you want the whole thing, you get the whole thing. So see some other users in chat. Welcome. Nice to have you. This is for those, we're obviously new here, which means you're new here, and we're laying out a GraphQL course, and we're going to kind of build this thing over the next few months and dive in and out of places. So welcome. You're looking at a very new stream, not well set up yet, but we have coffee and we have text, and that's where we're going to start. Hell, we don't even have a schedule yet. Be cool to have make your own adventure. Well, here's what we're going to say. Scope creep. You can make your own adventure every day. How about that? Could do the old VH1 pop-up. What was that called? Pop-up video? Is that what it is? I think it was. And maybe when we do the editing, we can do yeah, pop-up video. There you go. That's way back in the day. VH1's turns 30 this month? No. That was 5 years ago. And delete. All right, let's dive into let's jump down to the server side a bit. Have a little fun here for a while. I'm gonna copy some of this. Paste it up here. What do we got going with the server? So let's see, if we were going to start on a server, we would start with the schema. Right? Now, I guess we'd start with the tooling. So this would really be like a getting set up. Tooling. I think we need to talk about kind of folder. Here's another side of this. Tooling, frameworks. Kind of our setup. Then we're going to get into that next logical place would be defining a schema. Then we're going to resolve it. Kind of want to do the quick path. And then I want to come back and dive into it in more detail. So Right. Yep. That's exactly where I was going, Andrew. Like, just create a server, dump, um, fastest way to get something back. So as ugly as it can be, and then kind of rework it into something. So create the server. Actually, we'd still define the schema first. Let's, because it's kind of hard to create the server without knowing what you're gonna. Bullshit. Create the server. Find the schema. Define a resolver. Call it. Okay. So then we'll just kind of call this hello world. So then once we have that, then feel like really the next place would be to talk about resolvers. Because they're kind of the meat and potatoes. The meat and potatoes of how we're gonna get this. And then I think we have to get into non-line. Then we're going to talk about the schema. In the query language. Type system. Too quiet. Sorry. I'm thinking. Can't you see the smoke? I'm trying to take myself back to when I first started and the paths I went through. In fact, I wonder how out it. Let's do. This was one of the biggest POCs I did way back. That'd be years ago now. Commits. 2017. Is that the September of 2017? And it's been 3 years. Lots happened in that time. All right, hello world. Create the server, find a schema. We have to create a resolver to fulfill it. Oop, lost my place. fill. Call it. And that's going to involve like Insomnia. Actually, we'll just do it from the playground. I'm curious, Andrew, Sarah, and Marcy, how's the video? This is my first time using Streamlabs. We've been using Ecamm for the past. I'm curious if it's better or worse since you both have been on a few other things. So I think after we do this, before we get into schemas, I want to do a little folder, kind of just getting started in tools, because I don't want to have to teach the things kind of as it gets ugly. So getting a good pipeline set up and end up talking through some of these things may help. Then again, I don't know, but let's just get the sections down. So then thinking in schemas, right? Type system, query language. Screen share is a bit hard to read at certain points because it's too small. Like if I went there, would that be better? I'm assuming size, but better. Oh, I can't go that big. I'll never get anything done. Yeah, if you grow the window, it is easier. Well, you know my setup, Sarah, so I'm really trying to make this make this work. I have this thing cropped down to not sharing parts of my screen. It's really weird how this is actually working. But hey, we got it. We're doing it. We're doing the things. That's readable on mobile landscape now. Still not in portrait. You're watching this on your phone? Please say that's not so. Because you're challenged, computerly challenged? All right, tooling, frameworks, just kind of our local project structure. Okay, we probably need a few, like, getting started with this course. Just add it here, I guess. So, requirements, I'm thinking this would be things like node, what other requirements might we have? How about useful tools? Insomnia. I'm having a hard time spelling it. Insomnia. Browser. Oh, you need a browser no matter what. What do we want to do on the client side? Definitely don't want to get into having React and those things. So let's see. I'm going to use Apollo for part of it, but we're also going to use we're also going to use just raw Facebook stuff. Let's see what how did they dropped their other they used to support Vue and no, that can't be the case. Oh, V3. That's interesting. Yep, Node. We'll do this on Node 14. I wonder if we can get rid of Babel and all that stuff now because of module dependencies. That would be nice. Or because of ESM. Just take a note here. Do this without. Because that would allow me to, if I drop Babel, I should have import and all that with the new ESM stuff. So I think that's useful tools. What other tools do we use? A terminal? Alt iTerm or your term of preference. Preference, ERANC, VS Code, or your editor of choice. I'll just say editor of choice, it doesn't really matter. We're using VS Code. I like my Vim. I'm just not very good at it. What other tools do we use? Let's see. Let's go take a gander. Make this bigger for those young cats on their mobile devices. Let's just go into, I don't know, gateway. Now let's do events. What do we got cooking in here? Just taking a kind of a quick look at the stuff that we have done on other projects and see if there's anything that we should pull over. Also, I definitely have some Node version stuff. So I guess Node setup. Just overall. Node setup. What else do we got in here? We don't need a build chain. We don't need that. That's just for our servers. That will all come through NPM. That needs a major upgrade. Scalars. Did I put scalars in here anywhere? Yep. I don't need any of that. keep this pretty simple, I guess. On the client side, I guess we'll just start with the React thing. So we've got a setup. I wonder what, let's take a quick look at Facebook's. You know, they just had a major release of, they just had a major release of things. So let's see. Just copy this too. Create a new file. I'll just call it links.md. The feeling we're going to find a lot. Oh, what's the yeah, that works. We'll just do it this way. What do you do? You put it in brackets. I always forget. Is that the way? Nope. Okay. All right, let's bang out some links. This is kind of an easy thing here. Apollo. We want GraphQL.org. We want the spec. I mean, I don't know why you would need a link to Node, but that's okay. Tooling. What is Insomnia? I don't even remember what Insomnia.rest. I should know that. Okay. I don't know what else has helped you guys. Apollo. GraphQL. Ba-boom. Ba-boom. References. There's going to be so many misspellings in this. This is going to be... have to find somebody to go through this. Debug. What's debug? Oh, you're talking to the tool debug or the npm package? Yeah. Yep, that's a good one. Okay, so you just brought that up. packages, useful packages, debug. It's interesting. Maybe it's better to just like copy the NPM. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking a little outside of like have npm I debug. Something like that. npm.js npm.js.org. Is it .org? I don't even know anymore these days. Just go to. .com. This. Yep. Ba-boom, ba-boom. Do something like this for packages. Actually, do this. We'll actually do it right, and then we'll give the install. Do that. I dig. I don't know if you dig, but I dig. Be nice if I could copy that. Why did that not? Damn it, Markdown. Oh, what other packages do we got? Oh, the scalars. What else? Let's get back to our. We got all this stuff here. Spread this over a little bit. Spread this over a little bit. What do we got up in this? Oh yeah, NodeMon. Data loaders, it's a big one. Faker, or some faking. Faker. I wonder if there's a good way to, oh, I guess we could create our own workspace in, create our own workspace in MonsterMox. Wish I knew how to do more of the chat stuff in here. I don't seem to get, I'm so used to Slack. Is there like a shortcut command to I see lots of raid, slow. Oh, that's all mod stuff though. Moderator stuff. I feel like I'm missing some of the magic of you just type it? How do you know? No, that didn't seem to work. You guys aren't helping me at all. Is it case sensitive? Whoa, that's ugly. Case sensitive. I need a way to search. Lots to learn. How about that? Lots of coffee to drink. Let's see, NodeMon. Prettier. Definitely want some prettier action. Make sure that's set up right. Let's get the GraphQL. Let's get these banged out. Voyager. That's a framework. We'll put that one up there. Oh, we got to get the other. There's other ones too. What am I thinking of? Yoga, Apollo Yoga, or Yoga Apollo. And then Prismic, Keystone JS. Not sure it's not Prismic, it's Prisma. Prisma. Prisma.io. There we go. They just had a pretty big release. If I remember right. Is it? God, there's so many tools in this space that are just starting to come out of the woodworks. Nice fonts going on there. I dig that. Let's see. Prisma, Apollo, Yoga, GraphQL, Yoga. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that was by Prisma too. Or maybe I did, but I didn't care. Keystone JS. These are all kind of, I don't know what you call them, all-in-ones. This is more of a tooling. Oh, what's another one? Oh, is this the big one? Definitely need to reference this guy's stuff. Just put this down here. When was the last time this got updated? Oh yeah, so much goodness. Let's see if Keystone's in here. It's not. A little bit out of date. The hell is that? Yeah, Altair, that's a good one. We use that for sockets. Well, that's an ugly URL. Why can't it just be like altair.design? It's a good tool though. Let's bang these out. And wow, it's 10:30 already. Yeah, we've been cooking. Which means I need to wrap this up soon. I think what we'll do is let's finish off this list. And I can get this list finished off, and then tomorrow we'll, I don't know, what should we do tomorrow? Maybe start to lay out some of the code side of things. Tooling, Node, Prisma. Let's go here. Keystone. We'll have to talk about all these things too. So Keystone, Yoga. Let's at least get the links all up in this. Yeah, Apollo. Just do this. Let's do. That works. Do that. Not really sure where to put this one. Voyager, they've got that's by API Gurus. Oh, Google, just get me to what I want. But you know better. feel like there should be a plugin to make that easier. Where is is it just called GraphQL Voyager? I think so. Okay. Probably just node mon. Probably just data loaders. It's probably wrong. Probably faker, prettier. Graph. I think it's GraphQL scalars. There's a whole litany of Apollo packages. Oh, I think it's add Apollo now, isn't it? Add Apollo boost. Probably that. Nope, I was wrong. Yep, nope. Oh, get your shit together. I was right. GraphQL scalars. What's this GraphQL type JSON? Oh, that's another scalar. Merge GraphQL schemas. This is a good one. Definitely need that. Okay, the graph specs. That's the ones we need. Okay. Does this? Oh, because that's probably the GitHub page, landing page. Yep, so that's that. Is this the working group? I think so. Can't remember if this is, yeah, GraphQL Foundation. Okay. This is a Facebook implementation. Okay, spec, org. Implementation, Apollo. Since they're probably the biggest player in all this. And I think, is it just learn GraphQL.com? Who did this one? Nope. Oh, that's what I want. GraphQL org. Oh, it was part of org. That was what I was thinking of. So what's this? GraphQL.com. This is by Apollo. got? Are we missing anything here? Because I think this is a good, we just got these that are kind of missing. Let's, there's a whole slew of those packages. We'll come back to that another day. Voyager. Okay, let's find these, and then I think that's a good breaking point. So npm.js. How do I go thirds? Nope. 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 Not quarters. That's what I meant. Where am I at here? I want prettier. Faker. Data loaders. Probably just data loader. Definitely not that. Do I have it in here? Data, yep. Data loader. Yep, that's it. Copy that. NodeMon, they've got their own. NodeMon.io. And then the scalars. There we go. That works for me. All right, we did some things. So that is definitely the wrong terminal window. So first stream, first day, got started. First stream, or first-ish GFC. We got a GitHub repo, so we made our first pull request. I think it's a pretty good accomplishment. I don't know, questions? I think I bored Andrew and Sarah out. So here we go. This is the new repo, at least for now. I think we'll rename that for those who care. Although I probably just gave you the PR. No, I gave you the... So we'll continue to get that cleaned up. Manage topics. Let's get some GraphQL. React will be up in this puppy. Yeah, so let's see. Let's do a little recap. Let's talk about tomorrow. So, got a repo set up. Got a couple MD files in, nothing too big. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say nothing too big, but we got the start of a table of contents. I'm thinking about, I know where we may go, or what we, at least some direction. I'd like tomorrow to blow through the client and server side pieces, just so we have kind of a general outline of where we're going to build and what we're going to build. And I think the way we'll break things up is, we'll build out the solutions and the steps, and then when I go to record the talking head stuff or the overlays, I'll have to do that off camera, on camera, off and on. But so the next couple of days, so what's today? Tuesday. It'd be nice if in the next 2 days we get through the client and server side pieces, get a folder structure laid out, and then just keep on cooking. So, yeah, got some links. We'll just keep adding to this list of links as things come up, so people don't have to think about it. We'll do a PR a day, so that these things you kind of see the natural progression of where things are going, and we'll take these videos and we'll shove them up to YouTube too. So with that, happy Tuesday. Thanks for sticking around. It's our first time here. We certainly got some kinks to work out, but hey, got to start somewhere, right? So thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Don't even know how to end this thing. How about that?